Pokemon's great. You know what else is great? Noggin.net, a site where you can get all sorts of Noggin merchandise. Check it, it's so nice. Look how cool this shirt is. Also, you like Pokemon? You like the Hoenn region? Golister, iron-on patches. You can turn any shirt into a Golister shirt. It's a parody of a popular brand in California, except now it's Golister. Josh and I, like many, have been playing around with the idea of regional variants on the Galar region recently, and we found out that it's pretty hard, simply due to the setting. So, will there even be regional variants in this game? It worked well for Alola because the tropics have unique creatures and things to base things on, and also, it's an isolated place, so there's several unique possibilities for adaptations to occur, as famously, there are many in Hawaii that all of the Pokemon there, the Alolan forms, are based on. But the UK is boring! Like, So will there even be any? Or are we perhaps going to go back to a Mega-esque gimmick? Are there gonna be Megas again? Like, Kalos, which is nearby, had Megas. Maybe they'll have Megas too. Maybe we'll have like a Gen 4 kind of thing again, and they'll just add a lot of extra baby evolutions and new evolutions to already existing Pokemon. Regardless though of what actually happens or the possibilities of it, we decided to come up with some ideas. And we may be convinced that there will be, due to some old leaks, or at least rumors. Remember back in the pre-Sun and Moon days? There were so many leaks, like 99.99% of them were fake. But one of the almost true ones, I forget the specifics, and it is so hard to find those old leaks again, because fake leaks again are popping up over and over. I mean, look at this thing! But anyway, the leak/rumor I remember that involved a lot of Alolan forms, if I remember, most of them turned out to be true. In fact, all of them, of the set that I'm thinking of, turned out to be true, except for two of them. A Water-type Arcanine, and a Fighting-type Alakazam. Do you remember those, or am I just going crazy? Regardless, those were two that were talked about all the time. In fact, the whole set were talked about all the time, and those were the two that ended up being wrong. Or I'm just crazy and I'm remembering things terribly. But think about this for a moment. We know thanks to the beta information, a lot of the Pokemon they scrapped in Gen 1 became Gen 2 Pokemon. And also, a lot of the Pokemon scrapped in Gen 2 became later Gen Pokemon, and so on. What if that leak was true, but they saved it for later, after deciding on the new region? Because the UK may not have many famous examples of weirdo animals or strange natural selection, but you know what they do have a lot of? A lot of selective dog breeding. In fact, they invented dog shows. The very first dog show was in 1886, Islington, which is near London. I didn't actually look up what it's near, but it's the UK, everything's near London. Like, just comparing the UK to the United States, which I'm used to. It's like, oh yeah, you can cross the whole country in the time it takes us to go visit your mom. Anyway, dog breeding is a big thing to the Brits, and I now bring you one of their oldest dog breeds, the English Water Spaniel. First mentioned in writing in 1802, this dog is known for its long curly hair and its exceptional swimming ability. It was often shaved to look like this. And well, I'm sure you can see the similarities now. It's a dog with some lion traits, at least in the way that it's shaved. But still, a dog with lion traits? This could very easily be an Arcanine that the people here in this region selectively bred to be water type to suit their watery needs. Most dog breeds are created for a certain role or job or purpose, after all, and the Galar region, just like the UK, is very surrounded and filled to the brim with water. There's so much water everywhere. Every day it rains. Even this region, surrounded by water, there's that lake district. Water-type Growlithe and Alakazam. I'm convinced that that is a possibility. Not saying it will happen, but it'd be cool. And what of the Fighting-type Alakazam then? Well, I mean, look at these pads and plates on it already. Imagine an Alakazam adapting to its surroundings over the millennia. In the Japanese-based regions, it becomes hyper-intelligent and psychic because of racist reasons I'm not going to say. But over in the ruffian lands of Europe, constantly interfighting and such, it goes down the much more physical route. and these paddings become enlarged, starting to look quite a lot like football gear. But not quite as intense as that, so like rugby again. The big sport invented in the UK. Now, proper rugby players use no armor at all. We're not like those American football players, the pansies. But in recent years, some have been implementing light padding and protective gear. Not nearly as intense as American football, but still, some. It is much safer this way, and a kid's game should always prioritize encouraging safety. Always wear your helmets and headgear and protective stuff. Do not look up rugby ear. So maybe, instead of spoons, it holds a rugby ball. It's an idea, at least. It's got padding and muscles, and it rams into things super hard. Fighting type Alakazam. But outside of those old leaks, we did come up with some more ideas. I'm not going to say they're original because, I mean, the Pokemon fan art community is crazy and super fast at things, so I have no idea if some of these have already been come up with or not, but yeah. So I'm not going to say they're original, but here's some ideas. The famous red squirrel lives in the UK. In fact, they are super endangered. Like, way endangered. But there is an island on the UK that's filled with them. And while this could be its own new Pokemon, in fact that's probably the most likely case, I would be so down for a version of Pachirisu as a red squirrel. It'd be a good way to set up a Gen 4 remake also, like how all of the Alolan variants were of Gen 1 Pokemon, to lead into Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. In fact, most of the Alolan forms types are what they are to balance out modern Kanto. That's why so many of the Alolan forms are dark type. Because Kanto wouldn't have any dark types otherwise. But I could see an electric fairy Pachirisu. Fairies are mega important to British folklore. And a big part of their modern interpretation is that they are nature spirits and are often seen befriending and even riding woodland creatures, often squirrels and chipmunks. So in this case, why not take the fairy riding the squirrel thing and merge the two into just a fairy squirrel? Now it's a fake creature. Maybe even make it fairy fire, since red squirrels have big red tails and fluffy ears. They could be ablaze. It'd be neat. Oh, here's an obvious one. A Lapras that's based on the Loch Ness Monster. I mean, it practically already is the Loch Ness Monster. Perhaps, rather than Water Ice, it becomes Water Dragon, and it loses the shell. It's hard to be as stealthy and sneaky as the Loch Ness Monster is famous for, while you're slow and have a massive shell. Plus, Nessie is somewhat based on that one dinosaur that Lapras is already based on, but they added a shell to, so just remove the shell. It's more dragony. Ooh, now here's a cool idea. Let's get Shellman into this region. It's a snail with a knight's helmet. Now, normally in the Unova region, it evolves when being traded with a Carablast, who then steals the shell and becomes an Escavalier itself, leaving the Shellman naked. And so it wraps itself in bandages and becomes an Aselgor. Fun fact, this is all inspired by a real-world phenomenon that I explain in this video about these Pokemon. Check it out. But now, let's just say that Carablast, being a scarab beetle, is a desert dweller, because it's a scarab beetle, and that's what they do. Like the desert in Unova. There's no big desert in Galar. So, what if here we have Shellmet, but no Carablast? So here, Shellmet is able to evolve normally, either in what could be labeled as a Galarian Aselgor, or maybe into an entirely new Pokemon altogether. It's similar to a Escavalier, but with a snail inside of it, the original snail, instead of a beetle. Escavalier has the mohawk doodad commonly seen on Roman helmets, so perhaps this new Pokemon takes English helmets into context, of which there are many, and all of them with their different forms and functionalities, so there's a lot to take inspiration from. For now, let's just use the boxier, more tube-like design, rather than the pointy duckishness that is Escavalier. Do you like my technical terms? I am a medieval armor expert. Unicorns, while not invented by the British, are very important to the culture. The Royal Coat of Arms even has one on it, and it's the official animal of Scotland. Thing is, we already sort of have a unicorn. It's Rapidash, but it's a unicorn only in form, I feel. Not in function. I mean, it's flaming. It's fire type. Fire is like the opposite thing that unicorns stand for. So how about a variant? Fairy. Ground fairy. Normal fairy. Instead of flames coming out, it's either a pink rainbow fairy magic because we're unoriginal, or it's a regular mane but with sparkly bits. Essentially, it's a unicorn. but a Pokemon. You can say, that's too unoriginal all you want, but you cannot look at every single Pokemon and tell me that each one of them is original. Come on. What about a poison-type Rattata because of the Black Plague? Eh? Ooh, what if it's poison bug type because it's not actually the rat's fault that the plague happened, it was all the fleas on the rat. Scraggy and Scrafty. They are based on American hoodlums with the baggy pants and mohawks. How about a new version of them based on British hoodlums? The Brits practically invented punk rock music. At the very least, they popularized it and brought it abroad. So perhaps make them dark rock for the fun. So get this. It's Torkoal, but it's fire-water type because it's a teapot. The only other fire-water type Pokemon is Volcanion, which is all steam and stuff anyway, so same idea. Steam, but it's not a legendary, so it's cool. Oh, jeez. A grass-type Seviper. It's a shrubbery. Monty Python reference. Alright, these are getting pretty bad. Oh god, they already showed a Grubbin. What about an extra tall red Charjabug? Like the shiny, but it's double stacked. People are already calling Charjabug a little bus. So just put a Charjabug on top of a Charjabug and make it red. Ah! Drudagon, but it's all red and longer, maybe? To look kind of like the Welsh flag. If not that, then the Welsh flag dragon is definitely going to be a new Pokemon. At least it should. Ooh, a classical boxing Hitmonchan. Not even a different type, it just looks different. Well, I'm just spitballing ideas now. So, I look forward to hearing your ideas down below. It is a lot harder to come up with these variants than the Alolan forms were. So maybe they won't do many, if any. But it's still a lot of fun to think about. Especially with the selective breeding dog thing, I love that. I feel like there's going to be so many dog breed Pokemon, because like Herdier has to be there in its whole line. So does the Grand Bull line. There has to be a new Corgimon. It has to be the new normal type. Like, come on. Anywho, with that, you have fun in the comments. Always use your noggin. And with that noggin, you should go to your keyboard and type in noggin.net and get some awesome merch. Wow, it's so nice. It's right here. Nice merch. There's a whole set of 3 of these. They're all unique and way cool. Noggin.net. See you on the next vid.